All right, Todd, what is going on in our buyer's market?
While transitioning into the slides. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us today. Today we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Housing Statistics for the week ending September 29th. Let's get right into the numbers. 77 days closed on market this past week, a 4.63 month supply. Absorption rate was at 21.58. Average list price this past week, $719,230. Average sale price this past week, $582,139. And our list price to sale price retention at 97.68. Active inventory up just a little to 25,377, pending at 3714, and closed units month to date at 5112. New listings this past week, 1,993, brings days on market for active to 119.9 and for closed at 77. Price ranges in the lower left-hand side. Obviously, the benefit is no matter what price range you're looking for, you can see exactly how many units are available, the days on market for that particular segment, and what percentage of the total inventory that segment represents. It's great to really have this because look at the days on market differences. And so you get really a good chance to see how different markets, have different attributes. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, that's why this is so important, everyone, that you know how to do your own market stats for your own neighborhoods and the people in which you serve, because your data is more important than my data, which is more important than the national data. So here we go. Looking at the total inventory, 0 to 600,000 is representative of 67.56 total units, percentile of the inventory. 600 to 1 million is 19.87, and $1 million and up is 12.57. So here's the spreadsheet. Everybody gets to be the expert. Why? Week over week, you can really take a good look at this. So new listings, yeah, we took 2,100. That's it. We love to be over 2,000. 2,400 is really the way to go, but we're at 1,993 this week. Active inventory. Now remember, my numbers on the left versus the numbers in the blue. The month-end numbers include Armless's number just as off the shelf, and they usually include pending and under contract in their numbers because I don't think it's a good idea for you to get your client all excited about a house that's under escrow that's going to close, and they're not, and now they're comparing everything else you're going to show them to that particular property. It's just not good salesmanship. However, if you've exhausted obviously everything in the neighborhood and they're really imperative about being right there, then obviously there's always a reason why every strategy works. It's just, not a good one for common sense. 657, so of the 25,377, 657 are in the coming soon category. 19,282 single family detached, 2,843 down just a little new home construction, 24,993, again, 98.5% of the entire MLS. That's still good. We're keeping under the 1.5% number as far as defaults concerned. 3,714 buyers in the marketplace that are in escrow right this particular moment. This is down just a little bit, but it's still significantly up in comparison to year-over-year comparisons. So that's a really good sign. We have more what does it mean? We have more buyers in the marketplace right now than we've had last year, same period. Looking at closed inventory, the big secret here is the green tag. If you look to the right where you see the closing for August, we were also in the green. In other words, that we sold more homes this year than we did last year. Right now, it looks like September being so far, the 28th is through the reporting period. It looks as though this is going to hold strong and that we will end up, again, having closed more homes in September than we did last year. Why is this important? Look at the numbers. Last year, it says that this year's we're doing a little better. That's a good thing. Last year, we were going through an election cycle. We were going through all sorts of misinformation on both sides. And so we really didn't know what to believe. Was the economy better? Was it not so good? In the beginning of the year, we had some green, but then all of a sudden, we turned into the red because people were worried about how tariffs and interest rates weren't coming down and how the tariffs were going to affect, their day-to-day lifestyle. But right now, everybody is now understanding how that's happening. And as a result, everybody's more positive. Positive is usually a good thing. Brings buyers in the marketplace and it puts properties up for sale. Month supply is at 4.63. That's down just a little bit from 4.9, which is good. We're trying to get to 3 months supply. That's the secret number there. Looking at the sales prices, average sale prices, and median median sale. We always like to follow the median. 400, but again, remember these numbers down here in the bottom section are dealing with just this past week's closings. This is not dealing, other than the month's supply, this is not dealing with the entire MLS. This is just dealing with what has taken place last week, those properties that closed last week. So 464 and 190 versus 450. So obviously the median price went up about 15,000 based on the number of what properties that did close. Looking at active inventory, 120, it's still pretty high for the total MLS, but 77 days came down a little from 79, a little bit closer. 70 days is the sweet spot. So for 7 days up, 7 days down, you're still right there within the norm. And what this also says is, because these are MLS numbers, it's also saying that this is across the board. So the average across the board in Arizona is looking at 77. The average is 70 over the last 5 years. We're in a pretty good market is what it's saying. Looking at list price to sale price retention, 97.68. Sellers actually retained about 0.5% more this past week in those properties that have closed. We were 97.8 is the sweet spot. So again, if we're somewhere between 97.5 and 98.1, it's probably anomalous of the week, and then next week it settles back down. So overall, we have close to 2,000 properties being added to the marketplace. We have more buyers in the market than we've ever had. You'll hear from Justin in just a moment about what's going on in the finance market. Closings, people are actually closing. To have September closings, you had to put them on a contract earlier in the month, or maybe the end of last month. So these are good signs because it shows buyers are now engaging. So that's the numbers for this week, Mike.
All right, good stuff.